Uh-huh. I know what you're thinking. Is this the booth, drafting the circuits, three-way theater, or the Kevin Jackson show? Well, to tell you the truth, in all this excitement, I kinda lost track myself here on Whoobazoo.com. So, do you feel lucky, punk?
Oscar Mike Radio. Come in, Oscar Mike Radio.
Sinister 1, this is Oscar Mike. I have you, Lima Charlie, over.
From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, we will fight our country's battles in the air, on land or sea. First to fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor clean. We are proud to claim the title of United States Marines.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Today is August 17th. It's a Thursday, so it must mean that it is time for Oscar Mike Radio. Episode 57, and it's kind of a continuing series, My Military Story. And I'm trying this in a new location tonight, so if it sounds funky, just bear with me while I try to dial this in. And I'm going to start with the question of the week. And the question of the week is, again, for some reason, what do I think about the situation in North Korea? I've tried to answer this one before, and I will say it again. It's kind of unfolding. There were people back in the 90s when President Clinton was in office who said that giving North Korea the means to do nuclear research and build nuclear infrastructure was a bad idea. I think we're seeing that now as they escalate and continually try to push the envelope on what they can cannot do with a nuclear arsenal. So that's not a good thing. I know there's several people who think that President Trump is a certified nutcase who doesn't know what he's doing. But if you watch the news and read between the lines, you can see where China is now getting involved. Other countries are getting involved. And North Korea is starting to change their tune a little bit. They're not saying we can wipe you out or wipe Guam out like they used to be able to. Sorry about that. And then I would remind people to go to YouTube and look at some videos of what the B-1 bomber can do. B-52 gets all the glory, the A-10 gets all the glory, the F-35 is getting all the press. The MV-22 Osprey is getting bad press for all the wrong reasons. That's a different episode. But no one really talks about the B-1 bomber until it's time to do something like this. And when you research what that aircraft history is, what it was designed to do, and how it does it, I just think that if we wanted to level the nuclear infrastructure in North Korea, we could do so without any problem. And what you're seeing here is whoever is advising Trump in this case, I think he's saying some good things. You have to understand how certain people work. They don't want to lose face, so the war words will escalate and then it'll de-escalate. But he's not carrying nuclear football around trying to find an excuse to launch it. I don't think he really wants to go to North Korea and begin a long, protracted engagement over there. I think he really wants China to, come to the world stage and give them some truth. And they did when they told North Korea that if you guys do this, you will be without friends from China. And North Korea needs China for trade and economic purposes. So they're not in the mood to really bite that hand that is feeding them. So again, I don't know what's going on. I don't have an idea of where this will go. Do I think, based on my limited knowledge, that we're going to have a nuclear holocaust in the next 2 to 3 years? I think that's unlikely. It is no one's benefit to have one rogue nation firing off tactical ballistic missiles across the world. It's just in no one's best interest right now or going forward. So I'm not seeing that. So all I can say is stay tuned. Make sure you support the politicians who are acting in the best interest of America and our servicemen and women, and educate yourself and stay informed. So that's my 2 cents on that for this week. So going on now to the Word, and again, this is my kind of military story and series. This is part 3, and I'm going to talk about before the things leading up right before I stepped on the yellow footprints to become a Marine. I had gone through the ASVAB process, gone through MEPS. It's the Military Processing Center. And now I was getting ready to leave my life behind and go miles away to a strange place I'd never been to do this. And so I kind of wanted to talk about what that was about, what that was like. Because, you know, as a kid, you're not really thinking about it, or I shouldn't say kid, it's not really right, but what I'm trying to say is when you're doing it, you're not really thinking about what you're actually doing. You're just trying to get everything in line to go from point A to point B as, you know, quickly as possible. So I got my orders from the recruiter, who was at that time my best buddy. I mean, I think if I'd asked him for a crawfish dinner homemade, he'd have figured out a way to make it happen. And he was just trying to make sure that I wasn't going anywhere. But the weird thing was, you know how you talk about, you know, people join the military and they have their last night of partying and debauchery and stuff like that. Well, that was not my case. I remember that they put me, I met them at the recruiting station. A friend of mine dropped me off. And I got my orders. And it's this big yellow manila folder. I mean, I don't know who makes these, but you can't buy these at Staples or Walmart. I mean, this thing was huge. And it basically had my entire life's history up to that point in it. Everything from my place of birth to, you know, every school I'd been to, any kind of extracurricular activity, any kind of trouble, next of kin, all that stuff was in that folder, along with my orders to report to MCRD San Diego, along with the airline tickets to leave Shreveport, Louisiana to fly to San Diego, California. And so I met my recruiter. He said, "Do you want anything to eat?" I said, "Sure." They got me something to eat. I think it was, I can't remember. It was, I'm going to say Whataburger. I'm not sure. And then I got put in a hotel because they wanted to make sure that I wouldn't go anywhere. And every like couple of hours, I think I checked into the hotel at like 6 o'clock at night, 7 o'clock at night. And they literally called me at like 9 o'clock and, you know, wanted to make sure I was still there. Which I always wondered why they did that, because I could have left the hotel any time. I don't know why they spent the money. If they wanted to make sure that I was in the right place, couldn't I have just, gone home, hung out with friends, and then come back to the hotel? I never really got that, but it was a hotel, and looking back, I probably should have just gotten some sleep, but I'll get into that later. But I was in the hotel, thinking about what I was doing, not really focused on anything else. I don't think I had a girlfriend at the time. No, I didn't. And so I, kind of laid awake thinking about this, what it was going to be like. Is it going to be like Full Metal Jacket? Is it going to be like the other military movies? I was told not to cut my hair. Do not cut your hair before you go. And got up the next morning. The recruiter picked me up, took me to get some breakfast. It was McDonald's. I mean, they really just, what it was. There was no like continental breakfast at the hotel. There was nothing like that. It was just a simple breakfast, and that's what they did. We went back to the recruiting station, signed some more paperwork, and then I want to say around 11 o'clock, they dropped me off at the airport. And as I was walking through Shreveport Regional Airport, there were all these other guys and some girls with big yellow folders too. Some of them were joining the Marine Corps, some of them were joining the Navy, some of them were going into the Army. There was no Coast Guard people there, but I remember that clearly. There was every other service except for Coast Guard. And they were all waiting for their flights. Some were leaving early, some were leaving in the afternoon, some were leaving in the evening. My flight was around, I think, between 12:30 and 2, which I thought was kind of weird at the time. I'm like, why would you have us leave so late in the day? If we gotta get to the recruit depot and get processed. I said, wouldn't it have made more sense to have us leave like at 5 o'clock in the morning and get there at 8 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning, process, and then have the whole day and go to bed and get fed and that kind of thing? I'm like, okay, whatever. So I wait for the plane, and some of my friends were there with their parents, and it was still a time where in Shreveport you walked to your plane to get on it instead of going down a ramp, an enclosed ramp. We literally went downstairs, walked out to the plane. It was a prop plane, I remember that, and walked up the rampway there and waved to my friends and family and got on the plane, and that was it. Well, it wasn't it. Then we go to Dallas. We fly from Shreveport to Dallas. It's like a 45-minute flight still. No, it was a little bit longer because we're in a prop plane. It's like an hour and 10 minutes, tarmac to tarmac. And we got there, sat down, and they had given us these chits. It was kind of funny. It was like a little coupon we could use at the airport for lunch. I don't remember spending my own cash to buy lunch. I just, had a government issued chit, and you went to the place and you checked it out. There was the USO we went by and checked out, and that was pretty much it. There wasn't much to do, and the funny thing was when we got to Dallas, there was more kids with yellow envelopes. And it was the funny thing was we got to Dallas around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, so on and so forth. But we didn't leave for San Diego until like 6, 7 o'clock at night. And all of us are kind of sitting there saying, well, listen, this kind of messed up. Why in the hell wouldn't you have had us there already so we could get checked in, bunked down, and get ready to do our thing the next day? Just no idea, but we're sitting there, we're starting to talk with each other. This guy's going to be a grunt. I'm from Oklahoma. I'm from Iowa, so on and so forth. And we'd already known that people, east of the Mississippi River went to Paris Island, and those west went to San Diego. So it was interesting to see, who was who and what was what and where they were going, right? So we wait, and then I don't know if they were MPs or recruiters or what. This is well before 9/11 and all the restrictions. Some military guys made sure we were all there, and on the right flight, and we waited, queued up, and then got on the flight. And I think this was the other thing. This was my first time on a plane. Had to be. No, I'd never flown before this. Neither had a lot of my friends at the time. This is all new. I mean, taking off, landing, and I didn't have much. I remember I clearly did not have a lot. I had a little bag with a shaving kit in it, and a couple other things. The recruiter kept the shaving kit because I didn't need it, is what he said. So I literally had a pair of jeans, a shirt, and a change of clothes in my overnight bag. That was it. That was all she wrote. And so, I'm waiting there. I have my bag in my hand because I didn't want to have to check the luggage, right? And so we get on the plane, and we're there, and we're flying for a very long time. And this is all new to me. So every time the plane bumped or did anything, I was like, holy moly, I'm going to die. I'm going to freaking die, man. This is just weird. But then after a while, it was no big deal. And this is back when, if you flew, they still gave you some kind of a semblance of a meal. So the food wasn't that bad. It really wasn't. It wasn't that bad at all. And they tell us that we're going to start landing. And this is a weird thing too, because as we're flying, we're told that you're going to be able to see the recruit depot on the way in. But the weird thing for me is, if you ever fly to San Diego, you feel like you're going to hit the side of a mountain, or possibly get into the ocean, because the airport is literally, a couple miles from the nearest, I don't know how to describe it. It's like it's in a valley, right? And on one side of the valley is the ocean, the other side of the valley is the actual valley floor, and the plane literally drops down and lands on this runway. So that was real weird for me. But we get off the airport, and we're told to go to, if you're a military recruit, Marine Corps recruit depot, go here. And I want to say it was the USO. San Diego has a pretty big one, and some heavy use with all the Navy and Marine Corps personnel out there. But we went to the USO and hung out, and all of a sudden, and it was like 10 or 11 o'clock at night, right? And we land, and we're there, and all of a sudden, over the next couple of hours, because we got there late, it was like 10 o'clock Eastern time, or Central time, because we were Central time. So it was getting late. All of a sudden, we just started seeing more and more people show up with yellow folders, looking like they came from a strange land, right? And it was really funny. Before we knew it, there was hundreds of people. And then all of a sudden, we see these guys show up, and they're starting to walk through the area to make sure things are okay. And we're sitting there wondering what's going to happen next, and all of a sudden we see these lines of buses coming. And these buses start stacking up in formation. I'm like, really, like this weird. I mean, there's like 20 buses parked, one after the other. And we see the unmistakable sign of the campaign cover. And then we have some other military guys dressed up in, I'd never seen them before, these green uniforms. I was to find out later these were dress alphas. Never seen them. Didn't know what they looked like. And And they're starting to go through and look at our paperwork and get us into these boxes. And they're not talking to us very nicely, because you have to understand, for me, I thought we were going to, get off the plane, get picked up, get driven to the, processing center. Hey man, how's it going? Where are you from? What are you going to do? We got a nice little bed right here for you, and tomorrow morning early, we'll get this going, and it's no big deal. Welcome to the Marine Corps. Welcome to San Diego. We're happy to have you, right? So I'm thinking, okay, this is no big deal. But then I land, and I'm like, hey, wait a minute, where's the welcome mat? Where's the warm fuzzies? It wasn't warm fuzzy, even though it was an absolutely gorgeous night in San Diego. I'll get into that later. But the buses show up, and we're waiting, and all of a sudden we have these men in these camis. They're the woodland, camo, and their green campaign covers on, and they're starting to tell us to load up in the bus. And it's not in a very nice way. We're loading up in the bus. We're doing our thing, right? And we load up in the bus, and they tell us when we get in the bus, they give us the spiel that I'm a Marine Corps drill instructor, so and so and so and so. You're on your way to the recruit depot. Everybody here say yes, sir. I say yes, sir. We're not loud enough, so we got to say it again. Yes, sir. And I'm like, oh shoot. So we're waiting there, because the first thing they tell us to do is sit there with our, left hand, left knee, right hand, right knee, and shut up, be quiet. They don't want to hear us talk. Okay, so that's weird. I mean, my recruiter didn't talk to me this way. He was like, my bud, my bro, my pal. And this guy was not my bud. This guy was not my bro. This guy was not my pal. These guys were not like in the mood to deal with us. And of course, getting later and later, I'm thinking, what the hell is going on? Just get me to my bed so I can sleep and get up the next morning. We'll do this shit. I mean, Jesus Christ. What's the big deal? So before we head to the recruit depot, we get yelled at again, and we're told to keep our hands on our knees and tilt our head forward until our forehead's resting in the back seat, and don't look up. And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. But nope, they went through the bus, each one of them, all 20 buses, and they made sure that everybody had their head down. I'm like I'm going to remember where I am to begin with. It's freaking pitch black outside. Well, not pitch black, but it's dark. And we go driving. Now I think, this is pre-internet, that the depot's out in the middle of the woods or desert or something, and we're not going to see anybody. We never left the town. For those of you who are thinking about joining the Marine Corps from West Mississippi, the depot is smack dab in the heart of San Diego. The airport is literally, walking distance from the depot. You can literally walk a quarter mile and be right at the front gate. They're right beside each other. They're right beside each other. And then you look out to the other side, and you can see people's homes. You can when you're standing in formation, sometimes you can watch cars. You see lights coming on at night, and people turn on their lights. It's crazy, man. It's a real whoa. So we're on the bus, we're doing our thing, we're got our head down. All of a sudden we're told to look up, and we can see that we're coming through Marine Corps Recruit Depot, San Diego, MCRD. And then that's was like, whoa, we're here. I'm like, I am here. I'm getting ready to do this. This is a for real thing. The buses stop, and you see the fabled yellow footprints. And I will talk about what happens next in part 4 of this series. So thanks for checking it out. Okay, I have no complaint this week. No upcoming events this week. Nothing else really going on. Just want to say that if you have anything going on as we enter into what we call the fundraising cycle for a lot of orgs, you have some kind of dinner, gala, golf tournament, outreach program, whatever, hit me up on OscarMikeRadio.com. Travis, my email is travis@OscarMikeRadio.com. I'm also on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. So that is it for this week. If you have any feedback, let me know. And as always, thanks for listening. Omar out.
Oscar Mike Radio, over and out.
From the halls of Montezuma to the shores of Tripoli, we will fight our country's battles in the air, on land or sea. First to fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor clean. We are proud to claim the title of United States Marines.
Oscar Mike Radio, do you copy?
Mr. One Actual, I have you 5 by 5.
Anchors away, my boys, anchors away. Farewell to college joys, we sail at break of day. Through our last night on shore, drink to the foam, until we meet once more. Here's wishing you a happy voyage home.
Oscar Mike Radio is en route.
Copy that, Sinister One. Coming at you from the City of Champions, Brockton, Massachusetts.
We're always ready for the call, we place our trust in thee. Through surf and storm and howling gale, high shall our purpose be. Semper Paratus is our guide, our pledge, our motto, too so true. We're always ready, do or die. I, Coast Guard, we fight for you. First to fight for right and to build the nation's line, and the army goes rolling along. Proud of all we have done, fighting till the battle's won, and the army goes rolling along. And it's high, high, hey, the army's on its way. Count off your cadence loud and strong, for where'er we go, you will always know that the army goes rolling along.
Come in, Oscar Mike Radio.
Oscar Mike Radio, veteran in action. On the move, on mission, always.
Off we go.